It's a privilege to read the citation of a man I've admired so much as a politician and as a scholar, one of the erudite scholars and best brains we have in Anambra State. I've watched him closely. I've seen him on television. I've read him in the news. And today I had the privilege to have a handshake. And I want to say that the pictures I see on television lied about the handsome, energetic young man I'm seeing today. So I think the digital picture should do more to represent the handsome young man whom I will plead to stand, to come up on stage for the citation. Please, Chief Osita Chidoka. Like I said, it's a great privilege, but I am going to keep my excitement in check and go straight to the business. What I have here is what I called a very well abridged version of Chief Osita Chidoka's profile, a very well abridged version. Osita Chidoka is an award-winning visionary, an astute businessman, a writer, and a philanthropist. He earned his first degree in management from the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. He proceeded to the School of Public Policy at George Mason University in the United States of America, where he obtained a master's in transport policy and logistics. He also holds a certificate in global strategy and political economy from Oxford University, the United Kingdom, and a graduate diploma in maritime and ports management from the National University of Singapore. In 2021, he obtained a law degree from Bayes University and Abuja. Osita Chidoka won the Best Core Member Award in FCT during his service year, which made the FCT minister to award him automatic appointment in the FCDA. He also worked in the Ministry of Works and Housing, Ministry of Transportation, and Ministry of FCT, serving 3 ministers as a special assistant. After an excellent career in public service, he joined ExxonMobil in 2005. In 2007, he was appointed the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps. He transformed the agency from a stolid, almost comatose organization to one that won various international awards and became a model for other road safety organizations across Africa. I think we should appreciate him. In 2014, he was appointed Minister of Aviation, an appointment that offered him the opportunity to contribute his quota and leave his indelible footprints in the aviation industry. Osita Chidoka was conferred with the Distinguished Alumnus Award for Good Governance and Model on Road Safety by the Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Nigeria and Nsukka on 12th November 2011. In recognition of his patriotic disposition to his fatherland, the then President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, conferred him with the Nigeria's National Honor of Officer of the Federal Republic, OFR, on 14th November 2011. He won the Sun and Hallmark Newspapers Public Servant of the Year 2012 awards, and under him, FRSC won the Leadership Newspaper Government Agency of the Year Award in 2012. Please, may we appreciate him once more. He is a robust public policy advocate. He has written many articles and essays and delivered speeches in many areas of public policy and safety management. Osita Chidoka is the Chancellor of the Athena Center for Policy and Leadership, a think tank focused on innovative solutions in public policy and governance, and the founder of the Mecaria Mentorship Program. the chief servant of the state, esteemed members of the university community, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium one of Anambra's finest politicians and scholars, a doyen of knowledge, a cultural enthusiast, a cosmopolitan personality, and a digitalized and refined gentleman, both in spirit and in deeds. A man in whom the entire Obosi kingdom and the state is well pleased. Permit me to welcome Chief Osita Chidoka, Ikobosi, as he takes over the microphone to deliver his long-awaited memorial lecture. You are welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, ably represented by the Deputy Governor of the state, the Vice Chancellor, Acting Vice Chancellor, the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, the Chairman of the occasion, my colleague and former minister, our own Labaran Maku, who is an indigene of Anambra State, the former Vice Chancellor, the Honorable Commissioner for Education. I will stand on the other protocols established. Igwe present. Igwe Tuamanya, I greet you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I have a very important and humbling task today to deliver the third Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu lecture. And I will first say that it is part of my personal ambition in life. Many people look at me and think that I'm a very ambitious person, but I will tell you the only ambitions I've had in my life. When I joined NYSC and won the FCT award, my ambition was to retire as a permanent secretary. That's the only ambition I had in this life, to retire as a permanent secretary. I didn't have any ambition to be commercial, to be minister, or anything else. My second ambition was that I would deliver the Ahejoku lecture. The Ahejoku lecture for me was a renowned ground for Igbo intelligentsia, Igbo thinkers to reflect on our past, check our future, and check our present and project our future. So it was my second ambition in life. In 2019, I delivered the pre-Ahejoku lecture in Owerri. So I said to the governor, I was now one step away from achieving my aim. But as everything in Nigeria, the Ahejoku lecture has been in abeyance since then. The third ambition I had is that I also wanted a son. I said, I don't mind having 10 daughters, but I want a son. And the only reason why I wanted a son was because I wanted to name him Chinua, after Chinua Achebe. Because Chinua Achebe is my guidance spirit. He was one Igbo man, one Anambra man that I found so much pleasure in reflecting on his work and in using his philosophy to identify my worldview. So again, I achieved that when I had a son. I named him Chinua. And so as I left public office, two things now became important to me. The Chinua Achebe lecture, which the Igbo of Ogidi invited me to deliver in Ogidi, and now the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu lecture. Because I believe that no one so that the whole idea of these lectures that I aspire to deliver is because I say so that we know where the rain started beating us from. So Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, I had the rare opportunity of meeting about twice, and one was at Atowankwo's house in Enugu. I was a regular visitor to Dr. Atowankwo's house. I shared the ideological tendency that he represented at that time. I was the youth leader of the Eastern Mandate Union. I noticed that when he came by sitting in Atowankwo's house, when you enter the house and people will hail him, Ezendibo, you will say, Then they will call him Ikemba Newi. I say, damn, man. Then I say, Odenibongo. Eh? He will answer because Odenibongo was a far more important title to him. So if you see a man who, at his peak of his life, decided to marry a beauty queen, you will know that he's associated with excellence. Because it is not easy to be a beauty queen, as he said in Because I'm Involved. When he wrote the book, Because I'm Involved, it was published and it was, the first day it was sold in Lagos. My father took me to the bookshop, Choice Bookshop in Ikeja. There was a long queue of people waiting to buy the book because there was so much about the book. My father had always wanted me to read. So every time a new book came out, he made sure he got it for me. So we went to the same Choice Bookshop to get Nzogu by Ojukwu, by Obasanjo, and now Because I'm Involved by Ojukwu. In reading the Because I'm Involved, I was thinking he was going to tell us about the Biafran War and why he was involved. But I ended up learning about what makes it possible for you to be a beauty queen and the kind of energy and effort you put in to become a beauty queen. And eventually, I saw he was involved because there was Bianca. So to that end, we're here today to discuss Ojukwu, who is an icon of knowledge and who is a man that I want to tell you something about his character. Our former vice chancellor spoke about a man who left the university and then went and joined as an officer, as a korofo, as we say, other ranks, because his father didn't want him to be an officer in the Nigerian army. Imagine being the son of one of Nigeria's wealthiest men who spared no expenses in securing your education at King's College, Lagos, and Oxford University, envisioning a life of prestige in business or government. But instead of following this expected path, you choose to join the army. This was Ojukwu's choice, and it infuriated his father. And if you know Ojukwu's father, he was a man who didn't tolerate nonsense. When they invited him to come and join the Eastern Regional House, he came to the house, and when it was the turn of one man, he raised the motion. And one young man went up and attacked the motion he raised. The senior Ojukwu just packed his bag, packed his books, and said, I cannot tolerate insult from upstarts. And that was his last day in the Regional House of Assembly. So he was a man who did not suffer fools gladly. But for Ojukwu, his decision was not about defying his father. It was about conviction. And that conviction is reflected in his desire to serve, to lead, and to chart his own path. From this story, we see the power of education, not as a ticket to comfort, but as a foundation for courage and purpose. So I want you to put this somewhere. Education is not a ticket to comfort, but a foundation for courage and purpose. So before we proceed, this is an academic environment, and I would like to say that in summary, education is recognized globally for its power to shape individuals and society. So conceptual definitions. The Collins English Dictionary defines education as the act or process of acquiring knowledge, especially and systematically during childhood and adolescence. Philosophers such as Aristotle and Plato also weighed in on its purpose. Aristotle described it as the creation of a sound mind in a sound body, while Plato saw it as the ability to feel pleasure and pain appropriately as a moral and emotional refinement. Beyond these classic views, modern scholars like Adeshemowo, Abosede, and Sotonade in 2022 see education as a dynamic process, a lifelong process that shapes social behavior and conditions the mind towards positive transformation. On the other hand, national development encompasses the holistic growth of individuals and nation. Ogai, in 2003, described it as a gradual manifestation of positive change in the economic, industrial, political, social, cultural, and administrative life of a country. Dudley Sears takes it further, highlighting that development should address poverty, inequality, and unemployment. From these perspectives, national development goes beyond economics. It is a holistic, human-centered process. Education is central to this vision, but must be aligned with the cultural and social values that define a society's collective goal. You know, when Ojukwu was governor, there was this story, and I don't know if it is apocryphal. I don't know if it is of doubtful origin. But the story was famously told about how a community came to visit him as military governor in Enugu. And the community was very worried. They waited for hours until they saw the military governor. When they saw him, he said, "Yes, what is the problem?" And they said that we have a goat in our community, and that goat is missing. And it must have been stolen by someone in the governor's security detail. That's why we came to you. That goat is a very special goat, and we believe one of your staff stole the goat. So Ojukwu listened attentively to the lengthy story, and he was nodding very thoughtfully, nodding. When the delegation was finished, he said, You know, he spoke his English while he spoke Nnewi in the Nnewi dialect, he spoke English like an Englishman. So this is indeed a grave matter. A missing goat could disturb the entire balance of our society. So we must find this goat. He then called the security team. And with a very straight face, he announced, "Gentlemen, this is no ordinary goat. It must be found immediately. I command you all. We begin the full search of everybody's soup pot in this government house to see if the goat is not in the pot. And if it is not, it may have joined the Nigerian police to escape the scrutiny of the military." So the community that came looking for the goats, I think they understood that this was Ikemba in his jovial best. And his staff, everybody burst out laughing. Because everybody knew that Ikemba was a very well-educated man, refined in his knowledge, convinced about who he is and where he was headed. And at the end of the day, history thrust upon him an important issue. But in this story of Ndigbo, I want to bring this story of Ojukwu and education to Ndigbo. And today, the story of Ndigbo is that education has been transformative. Nothing has helped us like education. If you do not know, I will tell you something I say publicly. The whole of Igboland, that is the 5 southeast states, is 29,000 square kilometers. The whole of the 5 southeast states, that is the size of Kogi State. The whole of the 5 southeastern states is equals Kogi State. So these Igbo people in Nigeria occupy a land area that is 1/4 the size of Niger State at 76,000 square kilometers and just the size of our neighbor Kogi State. So if you ask, why is it that Igbos are all over the world struggling? Why is it that Igbos are in Lagos trading, in Meduguri, in Kano? It's because we do not have land. It's that simple. Why are we moving to Onitsha? Why did we move to the Onitsha and Enugu? We went to Enugu because coal was found there and they needed people to farm the coal. But we went to Onitsha because we have no body of water inside Igboland. From Agwata all the way to Ogo and Inri, going all the way to Ohafia, the aquifer, the water levels there are the lowest in Nigeria. You can't drill a borehole in most part of Agwata. You can't drill a borehole in most part of Ogwu and Inri. You can't drill a borehole in most part of Ohafia. Chief Ojo Madekwe, my late boss, when he finished building his house, one company told him that they have a new technology, they would drill a borehole for him. I said, Oga, but the Igbo man who did this hydrophysics survey said there is no water close by. They spent 120 million drilling boreholes. The boreholes are empty as we speak because there is no water. So what transformed Igbo land was not the wealth of our land. It was the power of education. It was our communities coming together, investing in education, making our people to understand the importance of education. In communities, the whole community are two ego ezigi obodo oyibo. Asia JK Motifa and Daneme. Because we brought in our best and our brightest. Our society was driven by merit. Now, despite this commitment to knowledge and despite what education has done to Igbo land, for us individually and as families, why has he not done for us what he did for Singapore, Taiwan, and Korea? Why has he not transformed our environment? Why are we still a society that does not have the rudiments of fundamental of modern living? Let us take example from the Asian tigers. Imagine from very difficult conditions, like Singapore. The size of Singapore is a very small place, smaller than parts of Anambra. Don't forget Anambra is the smallest state in Nigeria with 4,000 square kilometers. We're only second to Lagos. We're second smallest state in Nigeria. Singapore is a city state. I lived in Singapore as a student. You can go from one end of Singapore to the other in just 1 hour of driving. But today, it is driving technology. It is driving knowledge. It is driving manufacturing of industrial products higher than America is. It was poorer than Anambra State in 1960, but today it is richer than the top OECD countries. When you go to PISA scores, the exam set by OECD to test students of their schools, Singapore is number 2, number 3 annually because they produce the best students in the world. Their university, the National University of Singapore, is number 20 in the ranking of universities in the world. That is what a country of a small size, with a population of less than 4 million people, population of Anambra State, they are about 5 million. They have been able to become the powerhouse of development. Taiwan is an island struggled with by the Chinese. It doesn't have land, it doesn't have water, it doesn't have natural resources, it has no oil. But Taiwan is the major industrial hub of the world. Talk about South Korea. South Korea had to build tanks upon tanks to store oil because they want to make sure that they do not run out of oil, buying oil from around the world to drive their industrial development. I gave you these 3 countries because they are similar to Anambra State and to Igbo land. They do not have any natural resources. They do not have land. In Singapore, they have to buy water from Malaysia. Drinking water is bought by Malaysia. Every time you drink water from the tap in Singapore, it is paid for by the Singaporean government. So, but these nations, education was not just about personal success. It was a means of building a nation. It was tied to collective goals, embedded within a framework of ethics, responsibility, and civic duty. So the Igbo paradox, in Igbo land we see a paradox. Education for Igbo has produced some of Africa's brightest minds, successful entrepreneurs, and a diaspora that excels globally. Our diaspora is one of the best diasporas in the world, second to Indians and Chinese. However, this individual success has not translated to collective progress. There is no running water in Onitsha. There is no waste management system for all the waste we are producing. We are dumping it inside the River Niger. Aba is a colonial city that was one of the best planned cities in Nigeria. Today is a relic of its past. Enugu was a place where the white man lived in the GRA And Enugu grew as a beautiful civil servants town. Today, it is struggling. We can't have water. We can't have drainage system that works. What is the problem with the black man and the Igbo man? The answer, I believe, lies in our need for a holistic model of education. Knowledge alone is not enough. Education must foster values, civic duty, and commitment to the common good. Without this, we lack the cultural foundation that transforms education into a force for collective advancement. So education can make individuals work, but to transform it into a collective advancement, we need to make use of it. We need to come together and not think of education as anumeje akwụkwọ mba or achọrọ m ịmụta akwụkwọ maka mmụta akwụkwọ mmụta aka ije akwụkwọ means an other activity mana ịmụta akwụkwọ it is a personal responsibility to imbibe the knowledge, to assimilate what you have learned, and to project it for collective goals. But let us look at a very powerful example, and that is why I think that Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu offered me a great platform today. And I am very honored and humbled by that platform. Because we must tell ourselves some truths about what can make us grow as a people. In India, the Indian Institute of Technology is one school. It's a network of elite engineering institutions that serve as feeders to some of the world's top universities and technology companies. IITs have become synonymous with excellence, rigor, and global competitiveness. Today, graduates of IITs in America occupy leading American technology companies. Consider this. The Indian professionals now hold the high-ranking positions in some of America's largest technology companies. So Sundar Pichai is the CEO of Alphabet, the owner of Google. Satya Nadella is the CEO of Microsoft. Arvind Krishna is the CEO of IBM. Shantu Narayan is the CEO of Adobe. The Indian IITs have distinguished themselves as an institutional feeder for global talent. Most corporate leaders are IITs alumni in America. They don't come from MIT or Harvard. They come from IITs. The success of IITs starts with the highly selective and competitive admission process. Each year, around 1 million students apply for a few thousand spots at IITs through the joint entrance examination, which is considered one of the toughest college entrance exams globally. It is tougher than getting into Harvard. The acceptance rate is about 1%, making IITs as selective as the Ivy League in the United States. Only the most capable and determined students gain admission, ensuring that IITs cultivate a culture of intellectual elitism based on ability and performance. So the secret of Indians controlling the global technology world is not because they are measuring their own quota system. It is not because they are getting their own share of the world. It is because they have built a capability that exports the best and the brightest to the world. And in India, the IITs is not the only institution in India. There are multiple other schools that are training thousands and millions of Indians. But this one institution, India have refused to allow it to become a place for quota system, to become a place for man no man, to become a place for Imam Madu. They have maintained it as an icon. They have maintained it as an island of excellence, and it has continued to deliver value to India. By contrast, Nigeria's education has no rigor. We build a university and we think that we are doing a favor to the people. So they say, come and build a university in our community. The university is the largest employer of labor in our community. We need a federal university here. No, we don't need a federal university, even though one is here and is good. No, we don't need to build a university so that we will say, na Anambra Sukwangwe University. No, we will build a university to reflect the image, the quality, and the personality of people that have come out of Anambra State. So, if you are a Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, that university must reflect the dreams and aspirations of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. It must reflect that geography that built Nnamdi Azikiwe, that geography that gave rise to Chinua Achebe, that geography that gave rise to Cyprian Ekwensi, that geography that gave rise to Professor Chika Obi, that geography that gave rise to the likes of Chubo Kadibo. So when we talk of Anambra, our ambition and our goals will be higher than the ambitions of Nigeria because we have nothing to compare with Nigeria as a country. No, you can't compare us. And to allow ourselves to be brought down to that level, to say that we want merit in Nigeria and refuse to apply merit in our own society is the bane of our society, of our place today. So if we want to be that Anambra that we want to be, that Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu that reflects the man of excellence from King's College to Oxford University, and yet came back to work as a district officer in the Eastern Regional Government, it means that we have to build that society one school after the other. To get to DMGS of old was a tough exam. For you to get to DMGS, CKC of old, in an older Anambra, only those who were smart went there. I remember the story a friend told me. He went home and told his parents that he had just been admitted to University of Ibadan. So he was very happy that he has been admitted to Ibadan. So after he left, his uncle called one of his brothers. Say, "Echekwa nesi na chike ma akwụkwọ." O say, "No ma akwụkwọ." O say, "Gịnị mezi no passes in Nsukka?" Because the idea of every Igbo man was that Nsukka was a place where we only brought the best and the brightest. So, I want to start making my recommendations. I believe in what I call elitism of ability. No society will work if you do not have elites. We have to have elitism of ability. Elitism of ability, elitism is always seen negatively as it implies privilege, either by family or social or cultural advantage. However, the elitism I advocate is different. It is a meritocratic elitism. The reward for commitment, endurance, skill, and hard work. This type of elitism is fundamental in fields where excellence is not just desirable, but essential. This elitism of ability is embodied in how elite teams and organizations across the world select their members. And I will give you 3 examples. In the United States, they have what they call the Navy SEAL team. When they were looking for Osama bin Laden, and the CIA said, "We think we have seen a man in Pakistan that looks like Osama bin Laden." They went to the president and said, "We think we have seen him. If we bomb the building, we will not have a proof that is Osama bin Laden. Somebody can come and say, 'I'm still Osama bin Laden and alive.' So we need to capture him alive or kill him and take his body." So the president, Barack Obama, talked about it. How do we go from Afghanistan to Pakistan, enter another man's country, kill somebody, and escape with helicopters? They said, "We can do it. We have a team that can do it." So they called the commander of the Navy SEAL. He said, "Our job is to get in there, get him or kill him." I said, "Yes." He said, "Yes, sir, we can do it." So they went. They set up base in Afghanistan, flew 3 helicopters, went into Pakistan. When the first helicopter landed, it had a wind blow, so it crashed. They jumped out of the helicopter. So the first plan failed. They were supposed to come from top, so they now had to come from under. So they went in, killed Osama bin Laden, carried all his computers and laptops, put it in their helicopter, blew up the one that has fallen. Another one came, took them, and they left. This is the power of an elite team trained to deliver service beyond the ordinary. So you cannot want to build a country where there are a few boys in a bush in Anambra harassing us as kidnappers, and our police is here telling us that we need money to go and bring them out. That is what happens when you don't have an elite team. That is what happens when you don't train people to get the best amongst you. We're living in Nigeria, and there's a group called Boko Haram. They are sitting in our border. For the past 15 years, they've held us to a war. Because we have refused. The question I ask, because tinye no mmadụ na police, tinye no mmadụ na road safety. On that way, tinye na police na road safety men no that work. Oh man, no that work, no. That is why it is not working. Somebody will say, otinye nwe as judge. Always say judge, otinye unye otinye di nwe why as judge. That's why we don't have justice in our judiciary now. And we are all saying, oh, these politicians. No, it's not any politician. It is that when I come back to Obosi, they are not going to be happy with me that I chose the best and brightest to join road safety. They are happy because I chose people from our village. So, if you go to a place like Israel, Israel is a small country surrounded by enemies. They have been at a war since October 7 last year. Guess what? There is a group in Israel called the Unit 8200. It's a unit that most people haven't heard about. It's part of the Mossad. Their job is to figure out how to deal with these enemies surrounding us. And Israel's enemies are sophisticated. They've drilled tunnels all over Gaza, all over Lebanon. In 2006, Hezbollah kept Israel to a war that Israel had to look for a ceasefire. Hezbollah was so strong that Israel couldn't finish Hezbollah in 2006. If you remember the war, Israel had to call for ceasefire. Israel had to exchange soldiers, release prisoners. That's how Sinwar, the current leader of Hamas, left Israel prison after 11 years. He was held in Israel. But because of that war that went bad for Israel, Israel had to release him to be able to recover some Israeli soldiers. And that Sinwar is the planner of the October 7 attack. So Israel, but this time around, they didn't know that from 2006 to now, Israel has gone back to rethink its operational tactics. Israel has gone back to plan. Because they deal with elitism, they deal with people that have capacity. They were able to go into the Hezbollah, found out that they needed walkie-talkies and they needed pagers, put bombs in the pagers and sold it to them as if it is the company selling it to them from Belgium. So just 5 weeks ago, we heard the pagers blowing up because Israel had already planted bombs in them. Israel now knew where the head of Hezbollah, who is a very influential man, Nasrallah, very strong, brilliant man, has tons of money, has Iranian support. He has over 100,000 missiles waiting to be launched against Israel. But Israel had penetrated Hezbollah, so much so that they knew where he was. This time around, Nasrallah was not smart enough to know that Israel had figured him out. So on the day they decided to kill him, they said he has entered for the meeting. So they went after him with three aircraft and uploaded 800 tons of bomb on him and killed him inside that place. Now, what I'm explaining is the power of elite organizations. When people are chosen by what they can do and trained correctly, they will deliver any service you want them to deliver. They didn't just kill Nasrallah. The head of Hamas went from Qatar, where he was living. Israel doesn't want to go to Hamas, and went to Iran for the burial of the president that died. They not only killed him, they killed him in the guest house of the Iranian government. Inside the guest house of the Iranian government, the bomb detonated, killed him and his security man, and nobody else. Israel says, we will not confirm, we will not accept. But he's dead. So I'm telling you that confronted with kidnappers who carry AK-47, who have who uses telephone, who transfers money from, when they kidnap you, you transfer money. We have no answer to them because we have not invested in elite organizations. The power of elitism is very strong. It is very strong for elites, for people who know what they want, who are ready to sacrifice, who have the discipline and the capacity to do the work. So you cannot choose your brothers and sisters and expect the world to change. Now, I think that the first thing we need to do is to restore the elitism of ability in Igboland. And I have three options how we can start it. Anambra is on the right path because we're already topping WAEC every year. We are topping JAMB every year. Our schools are doing well. So the rest of Igboland can take a cue. We can turn 10 schools in each of the states in Igboland as special schools, where we will only take the people that are our best and the brightest, so that we can train them to live and work here. Because we want them to live and work here, we need a university like Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University to be here. Because if they go to Ibadan, they will not come back. If they go to Lagos, they won't come back here. That is why the head of the chief key agencies in Israel, in America, are American trained or Israeli trained. They are not trained in Taiwan. They go there for courses. They go there to go and acquire more education. But their fundamental training is usually in their country because they have a connection to that place. Now, if we want to reimagine tertiary education in Nigeria, we can show an example with Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu should aim to stand among Africa's top universities. If you check the top 20 universities in Africa, there's no Nigerian university. The next one we have is Covenant coming in. So it doesn't have to be a federal university. Covenant has beaten federal universities to it. True or false? Yes, they've beaten them to it. So why can't Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu beat them to it? Now, we must look at University of Cape Town, University of Egypt, and think of them as our competitor universities, the universities we want to be like. And to achieve that, I propose a phased rebuilding and renewal of the university, raising admission standards, investing in high caliber faculty, and increasing fees to attract the best talents and resources. Now, the increase of fees is because we are going to now look at the possibility of scholarships, of grants to support indigent students. But when you go to Egypt, the average Egyptian pays $4,000 per annum as school fees. What does that mean in Nigeria today? If you do it by 1,500, that's 6 million. The average university in America is $25,000 a year. And the person that is in-state tuition, the best you can get is $13,000 a year, $14,000. So there is no way you can have good quality education with 100,000 naira or 250,000 naira. That is $100 per student. It's not going to work. I don't like to say popular things. It will not work. So the government must bring in money to augment that $100 per student, to at least raise it to a minimum of $1,000 per student, the cost of running this school. But I think there is another method of doing it. While the government may not have the resources, I think that we should establish what I call an endowment fund for Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. So what I'm calling for today is that no Anambra indigene should go and build another private university. We should stop that. It's okay. There are 100 private universities in Nigeria. It's okay. We've done it. They are not working. Many of them are just struggling to survive. So if you have the resources, let's set up 100 billion naira endowment fund for Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. I can assure you that 10 Anambra people can do that. So, but if you get all of us to do it, from our 1 million to our 100 million to the 1 billion people, we should have 100 billion in the next 3 months or 4, max. And what is the purpose of this endowment fund? The fund will support immediate renewal of the university to bring it to an African best standard. So we can't have a school without hostels. So we need to figure out how to put a seed capital for private investors to build the hostels. We need to figure out how to hire faculty Not only just here, apply to our university. I chose the best and the brightest wherever they are in Nigeria. We will pull them together in Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. Because that is the only way we can begin to solve the problem of lack of capacity that we have here. We have serious issue of lack of capacity. We have universities that are not producing people that can become level 8 and 9 officers in the civil service. We have universities that are not producing people that can become lecturers. Even when they have a first class, you are not happy with the output of what they are doing. So it is garbage in, garbage out. But now we want to sow so that we can reap. And I think that Anambra can set an example. So 100 billion endowment is just the first step, because we need to put at least we need to go to at least almost 500 billion over the next few years, if we're serious. Because most universities in America are run by their endowment funds. The endowment makes sure that they can give students scholarships. They can pay for other things that the school fees is not paying for. So we need to do that. We need to adopt a measured method, and I've developed what I call the Chidoka principles. It is here on the board. It is knowledge, vision, execute, and sustain. So let us agree that we have a problem today. Our problems in Anambra is that our best and brightest are outside Anambra, so we need to retain our new best and brightest in Anambra so that they can become businessmen, IT hubs, technology hubs. Do you know the company called MoneyPoint? I'm sure everybody here uses MoneyPoint, right? Their last valuation last month was $1 billion US. 4 American companies invested in MoneyPoint at a valuation of $1 billion US. Why would there not be a MoneyPoint operating out of Ukwele-Zunaka on its axis, or operating out of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University? Why does anybody who knows technology go to Lagos to join them in Yaba to be able to attract the attention of international funders? Africa is the destination of $2.6 billion US for seed investment in companies. So if you want to harness that opportunity, we were some of the brightest people in Nigeria. We should be able to harness that opportunity. We should be able to have companies working out of Anambra and getting at least $5 million investment, $10 million investment. MoneyPoint is a no-brainer. It's a microfinance bank that makes transactions easy. I'm sure some boys in Anambra will have figured it out. But if you stay in Anambra, you can't, because the ecosystem here does not support you to have the type of staff that is available in Lagos. So for us to retain them here, we must train them here. To retain here, we must do what? Train them here. So I believe that we must have knowledge. We must see the baseline where we are and where we want to be. We must have a collective vision of our tomorrow. Because where there is no vision, my people perish because they lack. So if you don't have knowledge, you can't have vision. But once you have vision and everybody is enjoying, the traditional rulers, the schools, the businessmen, and we have a collective vision, then we can execute. And execution is putting down 100 billion naira endowment fund now, not tomorrow. Let's put it down now. Deputy Governor, when you see Governor, tell him that we are asking that he should call Anambra's elites and say, let's build a university that can produce the people that are like Chukwuemeka Soludo. Let's build universities that will produce people that can go to Brookings and work, that can go to American universities and lecture, and can come back and be governors, bringing in the knowledge they've acquired around the world. Let us bring that type of governor that will have gone to central bank. If not for the consolidation of Nigerian banks, what would Nigeria be today? So I am saying that we need to replicate what Nsukka used to do, but we need to do it in the technology age. Now, after we have executed, we must find ways to sustain. So the new vision, picture a university that not only bears the name of Ikemba, Nnewi, but also embodies its essence. The university should be a space that fosters intellectual renaissance, where young minds are molded into leaders, visionaries, and innovators. Ojukwu symbolized a blend of strength and sophistication and a relentless pursuit of excellence. This university should capture that very spirit, emerging as a center of learning that commands respect and recognition, not just locally, but also on the world stage. We need new thoughts and new ideas on securing our homeland. We need to de-escalate the destructive violence happening around us. We need to secure our space for meaningful development. We need to attract talents and capital. Please, I want you to leave the VC. I want her to hear this. The PRO, leave the VC. I want her to hear this. Yes. We need new ideas how to transform agriculture and livestock. We have a small land area, so we need to figure out how can we maximize our agricultural output. This university should be in the leadership of that new thinking. We need to think of new ways to produce and conserve water. This borehole we are drilling all over the places that we are doing now, this damage we are doing to the aquifer, somebody needs to tell us what will be the implication 20 years down the line. In the US, they are suffering a major problem in the middle belt of the US. The aquifer has gone down because of the water they've been pumping from the ground. And it is beginning to cause desertification in key American cities. So we need to find new methods and sustainable means of managing the growing menace of erosion. Nobody in the world will come and solve this problem of erosion in Anambra. It has to be thinkers that are resident here, who know that this will impact their life. So we need to think it. We need to find sustainable solutions to these challenges that we can't find people to employ in the civil service. So we need to find, because Igboland is in an existential challenge. At the root of our worldview is the idea that we cannot endure perennial hostilities visited on us for various reasons. So the least we can do is to return home to that space that is our refuge. At every time we have run from one crisis or the other in Nigeria, our attention has been to come back home. How can we come home today when gun-wielding young men are busy in our streets, shooting people in broad daylight? We can't come home. But we need to come home, and we need to think out how we have to make that possible inside this university. Because the mistake we're making is to think that all these things I said the US and America did was all done inside the CIA or Mossad. No, it was done in their universities, where the thinkers were able to think out solutions that the implementers will use. So we are now saying all the challenges we have to have new, who can solve it for us? The answer lies in our academic institutions. For the originators of the famed apprenticeship scheme, the Eba Boy system, there is a compelling case for establishing studies in entrepreneurship and generational wealth management. Ekene Chukwu has gone, and there is no successor generation. Very soon now, I got Choba the young. I got Choba young shall grow. I make Choba Paul B tomorrow. I am after Paul B construction. So we need to study, why are Igbo businesses not going to the second generation and third generation? What can we do to support the existing entrepreneurs to make it possible that their business will outlive them? We need to figure out how to, by offering non-degree certificate programs, such as executive and mid-career courses, so that our successful labor boy systems graduates from Nnewi to Onitsha are potential candidates for such short courses. My brother, Patrick Chidolo, I hope many of you here may know Patrick Chidolo. He's from Nene. Patrick Chidolo is the owner of Chelsea Hotel in Abuja. If you come to Abuja, you will see that there is Bolton White Hotel, there is Chelsea. All the football teams are named, have hotels named after them in Abuja. It started because of Pati naming his own hotel, Chelsea. Pati was a boy, na Alaba. Omusiafia, he was a trader and then went to university. From the Alaba market, he went to Lagos State University. He graduated And that opened the floodgates of Igbo traders going to school and going to university. Patichidolo is a pathfinder in the way he dragged many of his contemporaries to go to university. Now, I'm sure there are more Patichidolo's in Onitsha and Nnewi who this university can help to realize their ambition of transforming their everyday knowledge into certified knowledge of academics. To bridge this gap, we must establish a foundation of excellence rooted in sustainable practices. By doing so, we can empower our youth not just to succeed, but within the confines of their coursework, but to push beyond these limits. Now, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu should be more than just an institution. It should symbolize promise and transformation. It must become the birthplace of a new class of leaders, Nigerians whose passion is academic success and the protection, upliftment, and sustainable growth of their communities. These people will champion policies that are grounded in culture as they are in practicality, ensuring our solutions resonate with our people. Because when you are talking to us about erosion and you are based in Washington, D.C., you don't know what it means to us. You don't know what the erosion has done to us. But you need to live here to be able to know what it has done to us. This is the vision. A university that molds leaders ready to defend and elevate their communities through policies and innovations that create lasting changes. So, in closing, I want to urge our students, educators, and leaders to imagine and work towards a new educational model for our society. Let us produce not only skilled professionals, but also ethical citizens. Makan Magunu. No one will be successful n'ụwa. The first thing you get is gini uche. Akwezi okwu. And you get gini uchu, hard work. And you get gini uchuku. Maka, if you have uche and uchu without eguchuku, then you are a danger to society. Without morality, then you are a danger to society. So it is important that we all commit ourselves to a transformative educational vision to honor Ojukwu's legacy. The future of Igboland, Nigeria, and Africa depends on how well we harness education to build a society grounded in shared values, discipline, and purpose. After Ojukwu came back from university in Oxford and joined the Eastern Regional District Service, and he was one of those with a car in those days. So I will tell this story, and the person that told me this story, I will keep it private for now, said, as Ojukwu was driving towards, as a district attorney working in Udi, so he was driving to Imo State, and he was driving towards a community, Umuaka. You know, in Olu, Umuaka. He was driving towards Olu. So if you are a guest in Ato Wankwo's house, you will hear different types of stories. So according to Ikemba, on this day, he was driving towards that direction. And then he saw these two women who were stranded on the road. They were old women, and they were going. So when he stopped to see if he could give them a lift, the first one stopped and said, "Nai, in alo maka." So Ikemba was astounded. "Nai, in alo maka." Ikemba said he put his car in gear 1 and drove away because near the alo maka. Thank you very much.
Standing ovation, please. May we put our hands together for our guest speaker. That was...
Before you invite the governor, invite the guest speaker, the guest special guest.
Chief Osita Chidoka is a charismatic speaker. The rapt attention given. while we continue to appreciate his paper, let me recognize, while he was speaking, Honorable Emmanuel Anayo Obaleke, Honorable Member representing Agwata 1 in Anambra State House of Assembly. Yes. He came to represent the Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Somto Chukwu Deze, the Speaker of Anambra State House of Assembly.